All right. Week 6, Sunday afternoon football recap. So we're about a third of the way through the season. And it's funny. You start realizing what teams might be in the playoff picture, what teams might not be in the playoff picture come January, and what teams will absolutely be picking within the top 5 picks in the draft. So you're subconsciously, as you're going through the schedule, at least I am, looking at games and writing them off. Like today, Titans Raiders, with all due respect, I want to see Cam Ward ball. I want to see Ashton Genty ball. I want to see Jeff Simmons and Max Crosby do their thing. That sounds like a film recap day to me. It doesn't sound like I'm focusing my attention because we got priorities. We got Bucs and Niners battling it out in the later slate. We got freaking Seahawks, Jaguars in the early slate who balled out. Phenomenal games. We got to prioritize, and that's what it's about from now on, from here on out, moving forward. We're looking at games that are valuable to this season, and more film will obviously come as the week progresses, but that's why you're back on the show. We're talking real, entertaining, fun, exciting football today. Week 6 Sunday recap with JV, back on the JV show. You know the drill. I got Sunday afternoon games recapped right now, and then Sunday night football, Monday night football. We got a doubleheader again tomorrow night on Monday night football, so I'll get after that with my boy Steve and anything I don't cover tonight. While you're here, go ahead, like, subscribe, comment, do your thing. It's been phenomenal, the support this year. I can't thank you enough. And before we get started, I would like to remind you, this year I am sponsored by my friends over at Big Third Down Shop. So just to shout them out for a moment, they're doing a phenomenal job coming out with a bunch of new lines of clothing. They got a bunch of these hats they sent me, including this JV show one you see in all my episodes. So go check them out. The link is in my Linktree bio to buy the hats. For any team that you support, they got it. And like I said, they got so much more coming out as the season progresses, so stay tuned for that. I'm sure there will be more giveaways, lots more going on Instagram, on my socials, so stay tuned for that. But without further ado, man, week 6 football. We had a few phenomenal games. I got Sunday night football rolling right beside me. It's about to go to the half, so hopefully get this in. I can watch the second half, get that to you tomorrow night. But as for right now, let's start Seahawks 20, Jaguars 13. Man, this looked like a playoff game. Two good defenses going back and forth. Offenses that struggled a little bit today, but a lot that we can take away from this early game. And I think where we have to start is Sam Darnold, man. Sam Darnold is a franchise quarterback. End of story. I don't even think it's debatable anymore. Last year, he won 14 games for the Minnesota Vikings, but people seem to forget about all that success that he had because they lost to the Lions, they lost the division, sent him away at LA in the playoffs, and after that, I mean, it's hard to recover, right? You have such a successful year as a quarterback that most wrote off, and then you're on the road with 14 wins. It's really hard to come back from that against a veteran guy like Stafford who's been balling, who was balling last year. It's difficult, but this year, Sam is proving it's not just a fluke. He wasn't just a product of the KOC system, and I think highly of Kevin O'Connell, but he is balling with the Seahawks, and he's clearly a step up from Geno, like I've mentioned in previous episodes. His deep ball accuracy and big play splash abilities are huge. He's got a cannon of an arm that he put on display with a 60-yard touchdown to JSN on a freaking rope. What a phenomenal ball, and how many times have we already seen that this season from Sam Darnold? He's got a very versatile arm. He hits all areas on the football field, and he's efficient in all 3 areas of the pass game: short, intermediate, and long. You can trust Sam Darnold to hit every single area, figure it out on every kind of throw that he's making. He's very underrated, and one part about his game I think is specifically underrated: the athleticism. Very underrated athleticism. He's a playmaker with his legs, and you can't forget, like I said, what he did last year. He showed us his abilities, and now he's shown up in Seattle, and he's doing the exact same thing. 4 straight games of 2 or more passing touchdowns from Sam Darnold. He's giving us the consistency you look for out of an elite quarterback. He absolutely is. And people will hate. People will say he's not in the elite group and he's a C tier or low-end B tier quarterback. That's fine. The Sam Darnold name, it doesn't scream to you, I'm on par with Josh Allen. I'm on par with Lamar. But I will be honest with you, he's looked very, very good. It's very realistic to say that from the start of last year, week 1 of 2024, up until now, Sam Darnold has played like a top 10 quarterback. I'm not saying he is. I'm not saying he would be in my top 10 right now. Maybe I should do a list for y'all. Maybe halfway through the season, we'll go through that. But the way he is playing, he makes plays down the stretch. He had a phenomenal game against the Bucs, minus that bad interception with a minute left, which eventually lost them the game, unfortunately. But today, again, he's going up against good defenses and still producing. So I think it's fair to say that it wasn't a fluke with the Vikings. Sam Darnold is absolutely a franchise quarterback, and he is the future for the Seahawks. Came into the league really young. He has already spent a lot of time growing, developing on some shitty franchises, let's be honest. And now that he's with a competent group of receivers, a competent franchise, a competent head coach, and a good defense, which we'll talk about right away, he's looking fantastic. Speaking of some of the talent he's got around him, let's talk JSN. JSN is making an argument for Offensive Player of the Year. What a phenomenal season he has had. Every time you turn on Seahawks football, JSN has 100-plus yards and is making splash plays. He is the heartbeat of that Seahawks offense, and he accounts for probably 70% of that offense. And I'm not even joking. I think I turned on the TV today, and there was a graphic that said Sam Darnold 117 yards on the day. I think this was in the first half. JSN 117 receiving yards. Literally 100%. 100% of the damn offense. And, you know, you think of his situation, DK's gone. Tyler Lockett's gone. Those are 2 consistent guys that you could rely on in previous years. There was a large hole vacated for JSN this year, and he's capitalizing on that opportunity and proving that he could be in a top 10 receiver discussion. Right now, I don't think it's crazy to say JSN is a top 5 receiver in football right now. I'm not saying I'm taking him over Chase or Jettis or Amon-Ra, or there's a lot of receivers you can include in that discussion. Puka, of course. I know he left injured, came back today, whatever happened there. He's balling. He's having a phenomenal day, phenomenal season. But JSN, I don't think it's crazy to include JSN in top 5 receiver conversations this year. I think the talent is there. I think the route running is there. His versatility as a receiver is unlimited. You ask him to go deep, make a splash play, he's got it. You ask him to go across the field on a drag, on a deep over, on a dig, he can do it. You ask him to make a big catch on the sidelines, Tony toe tap, he can do it. He does absolutely everything for this offense. I'm going to do a film review on him sometime this week, long overdue. I've been wanting to do it for a while, just a little busy, but he's having a phenomenal year. I think he's got like 650 to 700 receiving yards on the season. I'm pretty sure he leads the league after today, not including the Sunday night football game. I haven't looked at those stats yet, but what a phenomenal year. And first 6 games from JSN. He's been a game changer. Without him, I don't know how the Seahawks offense looks. They got some guys. They got Cop, A.J. Barner. They've been balling. Charbonnet, Walker in the backfield. They're pretty good, but man, is JSN a game changer. But then you look at the Seahawks as a whole, right? Those names I just mentioned. The Seahawks have a shot to win the NFC. Now, I'm not saying they're the favorites, but if the defense plays like they did against the Jags and they get their secondary back healthy, this team is really good. The offense has a handful of studs. Like I just mentioned, you can turn to any one of them when things go south and they can make a big play. JSN, Kenneth Walker, Charbonnet, Cup, A.J. Barner. They have a ton of guys that you can lean on in the pass and run game. Sam Darnold needs to play consistent ball, but through 6 weeks, I have zero doubts that he can lead the Seahawks to a playoff win. Now, we can turn on the tape of last year like I talked about with Sam Darnold. I wrote that off. Whatever, scrap it. It's a new year, new team, new Sam Darnold. I think he has the potential, and with the way he's playing, he can win them a playoff game. Let's not forget about that damn head coach. Mike McDonald is a phenomenal head coach. We've seen the hole left in Baltimore with their defensive struggles since he left. Meanwhile, in Seattle, that Seahawks defense at its best is an elite unit in the league. They got a lot of youth, but they are balling. And when they play at their best, I think today we saw them almost at their best, if not at their best. I think they got to Trevor Lawrence 7 times with sacks. They put pressure on him all day. They are a dangerous team. Their losses this year to the Bucs, which was a phenomenal game. 9 times out of 10, you win a game with a performance like that from Sam Darnold. And week 1 against the Niners, when they were healthier, we'll get into the Niners in a little bit. But again, they've lost 2 really close games. They're keeping it competitive. I think they're a team that can upset absolutely anyone come the playoffs. Wouldn't want to see Seattle come January. I don't know if they'll make it to the Super Bowl, but they're definitely in that dark horse mix with the way that they've played through 6 weeks of the NFL season. Let's transition over to the Jags real quick before we move to Colts Cardinals. A lot of people, including myself, have been after Trevor Lawrence for his turnover issues, for his issues dealing with pressure in the NFL. I think coming out of college, he was the golden boy. A lot of people expected him to be something very special. And although we've yet to see it, he's kind of figuring things out, and you can see the potential. And as a Trevor Lawrence hater, I'm going to say one thing about today's performance. Blaming Trevor Lawrence for this week is just unfair. I am a well-known Trevor Lawrence hater. I'm a well-known T-Law non-believer. But that doesn't mean I'm going to lie to you about how he's looked. He is figuring things out. And if he hasn't impressed you this season, you haven't watched him play enough. Flat out, you haven't watched him play enough. He's becoming more and more of a threat with his legs every single week. He's probably averaging, 50 yards per game? I haven't looked at the stats specifically. Today, he had 258 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. He's throwing a polarizing ball. He's finding his guys. He's making game-changing plays. He's doing everything he can do. Like I said, he got sacked 7 times today, but people will still talk about his inconsistency. Now, again, I have concerns still about Trevor Lawrence. I'm not 100% sold on Trevor Lawrence. I'm still concerned about his turnover issues. I'm still concerned about dealing with pressure and all that. This is only 6 weeks of football. This is a 6-week sample size from Trevor Lawrence. But I would be biased. I would be, lying to you if I said he hasn't impressed me this year. And I think today specifically, if we're going to give a guy like Herbert the benefit of the doubt with his O-line, we got to do the same with Trevor Lawrence. I've been a non-believer. I've talked a lot of shit for sitting behind a podcast mic. We got to give him his praise. He's been one of the most consistent parts of this Jaguars team for the entirety of the season so far. He's been pretty good. Not going to lie to you. And I think blaming him today is just unfair. When you look at the Jags and how they performed today, too many penalties. They're shooting themselves in the foot. A lot of drops still. Defense was pretty good. I mean, they had a few plays that were made on them with JSN. It's going to happen. JSN is a baller. The Jags, I don't think they're good enough to the point that they can make errors that they can control, right? Like penalties you can control, turnovers, whatever it is, and still recover. Like, you got to play pretty good football when you're in a playoff position. And I know that's the case for a lot of teams, but right now you're watching football and I'm looking at a team like the Lions right now on Sunday Night Football. They can throw a pick or two, and I still think that they can be in the game. With the Jags, I don't think they're at that elite level yet where they can make mistakes and make up for it. It is the NFL. Things can change. You can come back and make a huge fourth quarter name for yourself and win a game or two. But I think the Jags, they got to play more consistent football. Not a problem. They're still got a great record. They're still in a great spot. They're battling with the Colts in that division. Wouldn't be surprised if they both make the playoffs. But moving forward, you got to eliminate the penalties. You got to be a little bit more efficient with the offense. And I don't think that's really a Trevor Lawrence thing. It's more of a protection thing, receiver thing. But they got it rolling. I trust Liam Cohen. They've looked great so far this year. I think they're a playoff team. Let's move over to Colts 31, Cardinals 27. Colts have been impressive. They've been very impressive, to say the least. 5-1 is well-deserving. And Daniel Jones, it's become very clear it wasn't Daniel Jones, it was the New York Giants. It's become extremely clear. Extremely clear. 6 weeks now, and I've yet to see a bad game from Daniel Jones. He's making great reads and matching them with perfect throws. Perfect throws. The zip he has on some of these passes, making plays with a high level of difficulty down the stretch, in the clutch on game-winning drives. He throws a bad interception, and that has zero effect on his attitude and performance for the rest of the game. And I love that. I love that. Explosive arm with big downfield plays. He's surgical in the red zone. He has been all year long. He's throwing the receivers exactly where he wants them in zone coverage. Josh Downs, Tyler Warren, Alec Pierce, Michael Pittman Jr., JT. This is elite, electric shit from the Colts. And Daniel Jones has been phenomenal. He's been phenomenal. 6 weeks of football, I would name Daniel Jones as a Pro Bowler in the AFC. I really would. I think he's been incredible. The transition from New York, where he looked like garbage, people thought maybe he'd be a backup in Indianapolis behind AR. Maybe they'd give him a shot. He went in. He won the starting role. He won the starting quarterback job for a good reason. You watch him, and you're like scratching your head. It's like, did I miss something in New York? I don't think we did. And let me just talk about this real quick. I don't think we missed anything with Daniel Jones in New York. I don't think it's like he was making plays and the Giants, were disguising that with how crappy they were. No, I don't think that's the case. I don't think he looked very good in New York, and I don't think the Giants did anything to help him. I just think a change of environment, change of scenery. First of all, he went to the Vikings. People forget that. He went behind Sam Darnold when he was having a lot of success. He went behind Kevin O'Connell, who probably helped him out a lot. And I think I saw an interview of him just saying he thought he was prepared in New York. And then he went to Minnesota, and he saw how they prepared, how advanced their knowledge was of the game. And he was like, oh man, these guys are on an elite level. They're on an elite level, upper class, 14 wins, very good football minds, very good football teams, and their preparation might have just been better. They might have been seeing things that by himself or with Dable, with the Giants, he just wasn't seeing. So I think a lot of that mentorship, that knowledge that he gained over the past year shows up in Indianapolis. A lot of new faces, but a lot of talent. He's been balling out. One of those guys, man, I want to shout out Tyler Warren. He's been just a freak. I cannot believe the Bears went Colston Loveland over him. No disrespect to Loveland, but Tyler Warren, clearly the tight end out of the draft you wanted. They got him in freaking Wildcat, man, running the ball, catching the ball, blocking. He's doing absolutely everything. A little hint, a little spice of that Taysom Hill. You love to see it, man. Tyler Warren, he's been a machine for this Colts offense, and he's a big reason why Daniel Jones has had the success he's had so far this season. Just a consistent, reliable target you can always, and I mean always, count on out of Tyler Warren. So shout out to him. His rookie year, he's been balling through 6 games. Let's move to the Cardinals here. 27 points, not too bad. Not bad at all. Jacoby Brissett shout out to him, man. What a phenomenal day. Brissett looked better than Kyler Murray. Let's keep it real. That was the best the Cardinals offense has looked all year long. 100%. And I'm not lying. I'm not saying this just for clicks or for jokes or whatever you want to make it seem like. No. Jacoby Brissett looked really good with this Cardinals offense. That was the most complete game of football I've seen from this Cardinals offense all year long. It's refreshing to see 4 quarters of football played. Not a half, not 3 quarters, not a quarter of great ball. This was 4 straight quarters, 60 minutes of really good football. Brissett was just less hectic. He's a better pocket passer. And yet he was still making game-changing athletic plays down the stretch, in the clutch. They lost the game, but this was against a very good Colts team. And without Marvin Harrison Jr. for the second half, without James Conner, without Trey Benson. The better Brissett plays, the worse it looks for Kyler's future in Arizona. His stats today, 27-44, 320 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. I don't know when the last time Kyler threw for 300 was. I honestly don't. I hope it wasn't this year because I don't know off the top of my head. It would look really bad if I'm slandering him about it. But I'm just saying, the Cardinals as a team, they're not too bad. This is a team that should be a lot better record-wise than they are right now. They've had a lot of winnable games that they couldn't close out. And when you see a guy like Brissett get in there who's just, like I said, less hectic, he's less reckless. You know, he's just making the reads and putting the ball where it needs to be put. And that's what I liked about his game today. And it makes you wonder, like, what's the future for Kyler Murray? I don't think it's there. I don't think the future is much longer, in my opinion. Because you look at the Cardinals, like I said, the Cardinals could be a 5-1 team right now. They really could. And you know, woulda, coulda, shoulda, the NFL, we can throw so many hypotheticals in every which direction. But I'm serious, man. This is what separates good and bad teams in the NFL. Ability to close out games and play consistent football. You play incredible against the Titans in the first half, but you can't close out a second half, and they play brutal football, by the way, last week. You score to go up late against the Niners, can't get a stop from the defense. You drive the ball down the field today in the red zone. You can't convert. You lose 31-27. These are winnable games. The defense has injuries. I understand. They're a very underrated unit. And the offense, when healthy, has talent. The receivers there remind me a lot of the Colts. Marvin Harrison Jr. probably the biggest name there, but not a ton of big name, star potential, but a lot of guys that can get it done. Michael Wilson, huge catch on a clutch drive today that they should have scored on. I truly believe the Cardinals are a quarterback away from being a fringe playoff team. And I don't even think they're close right now where they're sitting at. What are they now, 2-4? They should be a 5-1 or 4-2 team right now. With their schedule, with the games that they've played, hell, I think they played the Panthers earlier on, and the Panthers torched them in the second half or in the fourth quarter. It just can't happen. You got to play complete football, and with the way Brissett looked today, it makes you wonder. Speaking of the Panthers, let's move to Panthers 30, Cowboys 27. Bryce Young, man. He's come up a few times this year on the show. I have a soft spot, you know, as a media analyst. I think it's easier to root for players than root against because, you know, if they stink the bed, if they shit the bed and they shit their pants in the game, you know, you look a little bit foolish for saying, you know, they're a baller. People will come back. They'll comment on the posts, laugh at you. LOL, I knew this guy. Whatever, right? You knew. I swear, but the lights weren't on. Yeah, okay, right? But I think it's just easier to root for guys because the reality is you get to the NFL, you're a good player. You're a good quarterback. You're not just some bum. And Bryce Young, I have a hard time believing that he's just going to be a one and done in Carolina and his career's over, right? Like, I'm watching him today, and I have to be honest, his game, I mean, Bryce Young continues to show the future is bright. The future is very bright for Bryce Young. And I've seen it multiple times this year. This has been an encouraging season from Bryce Young. I don't care what anybody says. Don't get it twisted. Don't look at their record. Honestly, their record is pretty impressive considering they're the Panthers. But don't look at anything. Watch the games. Look me in the face and tell me this hasn't been at least an encouraging sight from Bryce Young. He's played a few pretty phenomenal games as a quarterback for this team. Today's stats, 200 yards and 3 touchdowns against the Cowboys. I'm thinking of guys like Baker, Darnold, Daniel Jones. How can you bet against Bryce Young with this franchise, with this team, with how they've handled previous quarterback situations? Baker, Darnold. They were both in Carolina, and now they are both potentially top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL on better franchises, with better coaching, with better talent. I think Bryce Young is one of the more athletic quarterbacks in the NFL, and he's at his best when he's playing from behind. That tells me he can play free football. When he's playing free football, when he doesn't have a lead to protect, he's a phenomenal quarterback. Now he's got to get comfortable starting with pace, putting points on the board early, and maintaining that lead and closing out games. That's what the elites do. That's what I want to see from Bryce Young moving forward. But you look at today, what a day. And a big reason why he succeeded and why he's succeeding so much right now, Rico frickin' Dowdle. Rico Dowdle, man. Who would have thought? You pay Chuba, potentially an overpay, I don't know. I haven't watched enough film, to be honest with you, on Chuba. But he gets injured. Who's next up? It's Rico Dowdle. And he has come on to this offense as the number one back with Chuba out and just balled the hell out. Receiving game, running game, blocking. The man is doing it absolutely all. I got him on my fantasy team. He's put up back-to-back 30 fantasy point weeks. Back-to-back. This is prime Barry Sanders we're watching. It's pretty unreal. It's pretty unreal. And today against the Cowboys, the team that he was on last year, the team that he didn't work things out with, you could see the emotion and the pride he had. He's been balling, man. Today, I mean, he must have averaged like 7 or 8 yards per carry, and he had like 20 carries, 25 carries on the day. Every single rush was a 7 or 8 yard gain. I swear to you, it was a pretty phenomenal sight today. So shout out Rico Dowdle for helping that Panthers offense and really pushing them to a big 30-27 win over the Cowboys. As for the Cowboys, man, I mean, nothing's new. We know who they are this year. Unfortunately, Dak is playing his best football with one of his worst teams in his career. You cannot blame Dak for anything this year. You can't hate anything about Dak this season. You really can't. 260 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions against the Panthers. You can only get a little bit better than that. He is being sold short by that awful Cowboys defense. They're a disgrace. An absolute disgrace. I'm going to talk about them right away because I want to finish praising Dak and then we'll get into Cowboys defense, but they're terrible. But as for Dak, he's posting MVP performance week after week without CeeDee Lamb and today without a run game. They had like 30 yards on the ground with Javonte Williams today. He looks quicker and way smoother escaping pressure and using his legs. This is the best this offense has looked in a long time. George Pickens is looking like a Pro Bowl receiver. He had 170 yards and a touchdown today, and it's all going to waste. Honestly, I never thought I'd say this, but Dak is playing perfect football. He deserves better, and the Cowboys should be well above 500 with the way he's playing. I mean, honestly, Dak's got to put up 35 points to even have a shot in all of these games. The defense is allowing 30.6 points per game on average. On average. You can't ask much more out of Dak. I'm sorry, you can't. It's Joe Burrow 2.0. It really is. Matt Eberflus is worse in Dallas than he was in Chicago. I don't know how that's possible. This Cowboys defense is one of the worst I've ever seen. Not this year, not in the last 5 years, I've ever seen in history. They have offenses licking their damn chops to go against them. It's an automatic field day for whichever quarterback goes up against this Dallas defense. Justin Fields, Caleb Williams, Bryce Young, Russell Wilson. I mean, these guys are having career days against this Cowboys defense. They're allowing 30.6 points per game. Do we comprehend how insane that is? And people will look at the offseason moves and say, man, losing Micah, this, that. Losing Micah, it doesn't matter. Losing Micah is far from the issue here. This defense stinks. Like, they stink. It's really bad. And week 1, I think we got excited because we saw them play against what was a phenomenal offense last year and what now is just a talented offense that has yet to find its spark in the Philadelphia Eagles. That was a fluke. That kind of led us in the wrong direction because ever since then it's been disaster. This Cowboys defense is horrific. So I feel bad for Dak. Coming off the season-ending injury at his age, to be performing the way he is at an MVP level, to deal with this, it's brutal. Let's move over to Chargers 29, Dolphins 27. 2 more games here I want to cover. Chargers, Dolphins, and then Bucs 49ers to end the episode. Chargers just barely come out alive. I mean, they should have dominated this entire game. We know they're the better team. We know that from top to bottom, you're going Chargers over Dolphins all day long. But despite that, they always give their fans a heart attack. They always do. And you're down, what was the score? 27-26, I believe, with less than a minute left in the game. Thank goodness you have Justin Herbert, man. And I will not tolerate any Justin Herbert disrespect ever. And I mean ever, okay? The Justin Herbert hate has to stop. It's got to stop. It is my biggest pet peeve, maybe. Like, it honestly might be my biggest pet peeve. He has zero protection. He's on pace to be the next Andrew Luck. Let me make that very clear. Matter of fact, he's on pace to have 45 more hits than Andrew Luck after their 6th season. Justin Herbert would have 625. Andrew Luck had only 580. Andrew Luck retired, getting hit too much, too injured. You got to protect your franchise. When he had protection this year, he was an MVP candidate. But no Joe Alt, no Rashawn Slater, no Marion Hampton, no Najee Harris. Justin Herbert is expected to do it all by himself. And you can only do so much. You really can. Game-winning drive, making clutch throws with no protection, pocket collapsing, D-line grabbing onto him, slings it to Ladd McConkey. They win the game with a field goal. The audacity people have to box score watch and say Herbert is overrated makes me absolutely sick. You want to know a cool stat? Herbert has the second most game-winning drives since 2020 with 18. The only person ahead is Patrick Mahomes at 19. One more game-winning drive. So he's clutch. Physically, checks all the boxes. Smart, great arm, moves very well. He's a leader. He's dating Madison Beer. The guy's living life. I'm not blaming him. All right? I'm really not blaming him. And what makes me sick, what made me really sick before the game, was the Tua comparisons. That's got to stop. I'm sorry, but it's done. All right? Stop comparing Tua to Justin Herbert. It's a laughable comparison. It really is. If you're doing it, check yourself. Go see the doc. Honestly, I don't get it. I really don't. I know they were drafted a few picks apart. Who cares? They are in two completely different stratospheres. Like, it's not even close. Herbert, for his entire career, has been the only reason the Chargers are even relevant. Why they always have a chance at the playoffs. Tua is far from that. Far from that. He doesn't nearly match Herbert with the arm talent. He doesn't nearly match Herbert with the capabilities of his arm. He doesn't come close to matching Herbert's physical characteristics. He doesn't even compare to Herbert's playmaking abilities. Tua is a turnover machine. He's not nearly as polarizing as a player. Like, it's not even close. The comparisons make no sense. I will never understand it. I saw the stat comparisons, and they make it seem like they're equals. They're not. They're not. You watch them play, it is very obvious which quarterback is far better than the other. The fact people were making pre-game graphics comparing the two players like they were both in the same tier is disgusting. One will be a franchise quarterback for the rest of his life. The other is a fringe top 18 quarterback. Case closed. Close the frickin' book. For some reason, it was opened. Close that. You want to talk about the Dolphins? You want to talk about Tua and McDaniel? Tua and McDaniel get worse every single week. Mike McDaniel, I think he's been a fraud since he got there. Tua, I've never been a huge fan of. Tua and McDaniel get worse and worse and worse. This is the worst start for the Dolphins in the McDaniel era. 1-5 is essentially a write-off of a season. No playoffs. You can scratch that box off. Tua continues to have costly turnovers at bad times. No matter what the team does, they can't close out leads. They can't win close games. They can't even win games firmly in their grasp, like they had today with a minute left. McDaniel looks stunned. Shocked. Every single time I see him on the screen, he looks lost. He doesn't look tapped in with the game at all. His press conferences are concerning. Tua comes out today post-game and says guys are flat out skipping player-only meetings. They're coming late and they're just skipping them. What are we doing? This is not a real football team. This is not a professional football team where guys are paid millions of dollars to participate and pay attention and win and want to win. Nobody in Miami cares. They've always been a ticking time bomb, and now it's all exploding. Now everything's going to shit, and it's all ruined. They need a massive makeover. Massive. Quarterback, head coach, entire team. Scrap it all. It's all over. Let's wrap the episode up here with Buccaneers 30, 49ers 19. I caught the majority of this game, went back, saw a few highlights. And I don't know if I said it on this podcast or on this show or on my show here, but I for sure damn said it on my boy MJ's show when we filmed early to start the season, and he was asking me, who's your MVP? And I said my dark horse is Baker. I'm going to clip it. Hopefully Baker continues this success for the next 12 weeks of football, but if he does, I hate to say it, but I told you so. Now I get it. Who am I, right? Like, I told you so. I told you a bunch of shit. I've had a lot of bad takes this year. But Baker, the MVP take, it's panning out to start the season. And how do you not love it, man? He's just been something special to watch this year. I really want one of those new creamsicle Bucs jerseys. He looks so clean in it. He does it all for this franchise. He puts his heart on the line, and you gotta love it, man. And I'm watching him today, and that's 6 straight games now. I've been super impressed from Baker, and I'm just thinking, Baker is making an argument to be top 5. He really is. He really absolutely is. Last year, he had 4,500 yards and 40 touchdowns. He is one of only 10 quarterbacks in history to have 4,500 yards and 40 touchdowns in a single season. That is elite company. That is Brady. That is Manning. That is Mahomes. I believe Marino. I think Breeze is in there. That is elite company. I think Joe Burrow did it last year too. 74% completion percentage, 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, another 0 interception game from Baker against the Niners. He makes game-changing plays every single damn drive. Every single drive. The spin he puts on the football, with no Mike Evans, with no Chris Godwin, with no Emeka Ibuka, with no Jalen McMillan, Baker balled out with what he had. And that is impressive. The 3rd and long, first down runs, they're becoming routine. They're becoming a routine event for Baker Mayfield. Every single week, this guy breaks off a monster 20-yard run where he trucks a linebacker and he plunges for the first down marker, gets it, and celebrates. Get off me. It's pretty incredible. You can't take him down in the pocket. He burns you with his legs. He is surgical with his arm. That dime to Tej Johnson down the field, on the money, on a freaking rope. Unbelievable. It was a thing of beauty. He checks every box. Arm talent, yes. Dual threat, yes. Clutch, yes. Swagger, yes. All of the damn above. Baker's having a phenomenal season. And from the start of last year, week 1 up until now, you could argue he's been a top 10 QB. Pretty amazing how he's turned his career around. And I saw him answering some questions and people saying like, Baker, everyone thinks you got swagger. He's like, well, I've always had this swagger. It's just now I'm winning. Now I'm succeeding. When you're losing, it's like, this guy's a dick. Like, get your shit together. But now that he's winning, now that he's succeeding, it's pretty incredible. You gotta love Baker Mayfield. I haven't met one person who's like, screw that guy. His story's amazing. His personality's amazing. True football guy. As for these 49ers, man, 19 points to keep it within 11 with the Bucs. Touchdown, 2-point, and a conversion, and a field goal. It's pretty good for an injured team, right? And I asked it to start the season. I asked it, I think, a few weeks into the season. I'm going to respectfully ask it again. Someone investigate these 49er injuries. Seriously. This is no longer a conspiracy. It's not. This season, Purdy, Bosa, Warner, Kittle, Ayuk, Pearsall, the list never ends. It keeps on going. There's a long list of starters that have been injured already this season, and it's week 6. This team, when healthy, is a consistent playoff threat. But that when healthy has a huge asterisk beside it. To consistently be the most injured team in the NFL is not a coincidence. I understand 1 or 2 weeks. I understand even a year or two, a fluky few years where you're just catching the injury bug, but not like this. They're overworking their players. There is too much strain on their players. Something is wrong in San Francisco because the injury bug should never be this bad and this consistent. I don't get it. And to think they're still putting up competent performances against playoff teams like the Bucs, pretty incredible. But something's wrong. Somebody's got to figure something different out in San Francisco. Strength and conditioning must be off the charts there. They must be doing something wrong. Because why is it that everyone shows up in San Francisco and bam, you're injured? Bam. Starters are all gone. They're playing with Walmart workers. Well, what are we doing? Like, again, this is not a conspiracy. Something is seriously wrong in San Francisco. And despite this, the 49ers are playing competitive football with Walmart workers. Think about, imagine their roster healthy. Think about how good they would be if they were healthy. This team, when it's healthy, is a top 3 team in the NFC. They really are. For Shanahan and Saleh to be putting together games like this, where they have at least a shot against playoff teams, with backups and third strings in is pretty damn incredible. Saleh has been phenomenal this year considering the youth on the defense and the injuries they've sustained, and Shanahan is still putting up 20 to 30 point performances with Mac Jones and Kendrick Bourne looking like prime Randy Moss as the wide receiver one. The Patriots didn't want this guy. The Pats said no thanks. That receiving room, which needs a ton of help still, they said no thanks. That's who Shanahan is dealing with. If CMC goes down, it's all over. And knock on wood for that, right? Ironically, with everyone injured, CMC is fine, considering his injury history. It's pretty crazy. But just take a second and imagine what life would be like if this team was fully healthy. Think about the close games that they've had. Think about the battles that they've had against playoff teams. They take down the Rams. They remain really close with a good Bucs team. Now, the Bucs had their fair share of injuries too. Their receiving core has been depleted. But I don't think that even compares to your number one defensive player, your starting quarterback, your 3 top pass catchers, all injured. Just imagine, right? Just imagine. I think they'd be a phenomenal team. And they're still, 4-2? They're still in a good position to make the playoffs. Just wait until Purdy comes back. Hopefully they can get this offense reloaded with a few players because now the defense needs help. Warner and Bosa out for the season. Just unfortunate, man. Just unfortunate. That is a wrap on Week 6, Sunday afternoon football. It's been a wild Sunday. Happy Thanksgiving to my Canadian friends out there. I'm Canadian. For those of you who don't know, so shout out to you. Happy Thanksgiving. Hopefully you got some time to spend with some family, friends. Take a moment and just thank everyone for being in your life. Thank everyone for having a positive impact on your life and helping you out. Parents, siblings, friends, teachers, whoever you got, because they matter. They matter a lot. Appreciate you rocking with me. You know the deal. Monday Night Football. Stay tuned. More coming this week. But for now, I'll catch you in a bit. Stay safe. Peace out.